Before we get into the timeline, I want to give a brief primer on what attraction is, how to convey it as easily and as quickly as possible with the woman. So the first question I ask every guy in my weekend seminar is, what creates attraction in a woman? And I've heard such a variety of answers, everything from humor to having high self-esteem, to being high value, high status, to having a lot of money, to looking good and being jacked, to having confidence, or being her boss, being a jerk, being the bad boy, being the alpha, being the masculine guy. There's such a variety of different answers. And actually they all tie together really nicely into this beautiful web. But first we have to get down to the core and the linchpin of it all and see how everything ties together. This is something the entire product is going to be based around, and the foundation of it is within this attraction phase, and you'll see how everything points back to it. Most guys that aren't familiar with the pickup community, what they do when they think about attraction with women is they empathize with her, and whatever they find attractive is they're going to think that a woman finds it back. Luckily, women are not as superficial as men are, so they don't look for things like how blonde her hair is or how nice she looks in a miniskirt. They are attracted to different things. For them, it's high status behaviors and being confident and high value in what you do and owning what you do. So for me, if I think about what the foundation of what attraction is, attraction to me is confidence. Why do I think that? And what is confidence? Well, to give a definition of confidence, let me think about something I'm very confident about. For me, I'm pretty confident the sun is going to come out tomorrow. So where does that confidence come from? Well, basically every day of my life, when I wake up, the sun has come up. So because I've had enough reference experiences, I've had enough experience seeing that happen, it's happened enough times that now I'm just going to assume it's going to happen. So when you go and you interact with someone for the first time, they don't know how to respond there. She sees you and she's thinking, okay, I see this guy, he looks like this, but I don't really know how to respond here, so I'll wait to see what he does. She does see you, and let's say you're a short guy who typically, stereotypically, would not be the most attractive appearance-looking guy until you've actually interacted with her. Remember, they don't respond to looks, they respond to the behaviors. So until you start interacting and showing those behaviors, she's not going to know how high value, how high status, and how confident you are. So again, she's thinking, I don't really know how to respond here, but he seems really confident if you are conveying those confident qualities. And what she'll do is follow your lead. The problem that most guys that are just starting off with this and they don't have a lot of experience is they're not that confident. They don't have those every single day of the sun coming up is the same thing as they don't have many reference points or experiences of seeing the girl attracted to them. So they're not going to be confident and thinking, yes, this girl will be attracted to me. Don't worry if you're just starting off and thinking, well, I'm not confident. How do I get that girl? We're going to go through that process very shortly in the newbie approach timeline with the mindset and how to get that girl from a very outer game perspective. What happens over time, I've talked about this before, there's this cool positive feedback loop where once you start getting some good experience, start getting some good results, all of a sudden that's like seeing the sun come up and you start getting more confidence. And when you have that confidence and you cultivate that, then you get even better results. And there's this beautiful, happy, positive feedback loop that is created. My goal is so now you're looking at it from the outside, my goal is to lightning bolt you in and start getting you those good reference points through some outer game behaviors and then starting to rely more on the inner game. I think in the perfect world, the perfect scenario, the most high fidelity way of creating attraction is when you're entitled to the girl. By entitlement, I mean you feel like you deserve her. So you see a very average girl, some girl you're not even attracted to. And the reason why when you're entitled it works is because you're pretty much indifferent to anything she does. You don't really care. And either way, you're not emotionally invested in it. The tone of voice you use, the way you talk to her, you're not going to run out of things to say. You're not going to be uncomfortable touching her or pushing her or pulling her in because you don't even care. So when you do feel entitled and you feel deserving to that girl, everything goes nicely and smoothly. So guys always ask, how do you become entitled to the girl? Well, you hook up with 10 of them that look just like her, and then you can get with them. So again, that comes back to that positive feedback loop, where as you start getting some more success, you will build that entitlement. And I think my game personally is almost entirely based on feeling entitled to the girl. And that only came from years and years of experience and feeling that entitlement, coming from the outer game techniques that we'll be mentioning throughout to jumpstart me and quick start, fix me into that time loop and into the positive feedback loop. So this ties directly back into what we were talking about before, where some guys, when they see someone that has financial success or they have success in the weight room, getting pretty jacked, how they have a hot, attractive woman. It's not the superficial manifestation of that. It's not the result of that. It's the fact that usually a guy that has a successful business is going to feel high self-esteem enough to feel deserving towards that hot girl. Maybe it is just because socially he's conditioned to think that he deserves that type of woman, or she does socially respond in that same way. Maybe the other thing, he had a huge family, and coming up, everyone loved him a lot, so he thought he was like the happy, special baby. And for whatever reason, his self-esteem is high, and he assumes he can get with that girl. Happens when he's 12 or 14. And because he had that good positive reference point really early on, it just starts stacking on, and some of those guys just have a lot of success throughout. Sometimes the same thing with looks. Because people see a happy, cute baby, they just assume, oh, he will be good with women. And because everyone forces that frame on him and that headspace, he just takes that on because he assumes that's how it should be. Most guys coming to this aren't in that headspace. Or even if you are, congrats. If you're further along and you've read some of my material before, you know that I'm really all about getting in that high self-esteem, borderline narcissistic frame of mind. And what I want to do throughout this product is turn that up even further, make you almost cartoonish character-like, to the point where you're so loving yourself so much that you just, like, this aura just comes off of you, and people can almost, in a fourth dimensional weird way, see how attractive you are and see how awesome you feel internally about yourself. And this sounds pretty weird coming out right now, but as we get into the product further and through the different levels of the timeline, you'll see what I'm talking about. This ultimately is why the direct approach, going up, making it very obvious that you like her, and going up and saying that, this is why that approach is so powerful, because it conveys so much value. It conveys that you're assuming it's going to go well, and that you have been comfortable talking to girls like her before. You're assuming that attraction just by going up and making yourself vulnerable and assuming it's going to go well through that confidence. This relates to not only with women, but things like when you're outside of a bar, or let's say you're outside of a club, and you see a promoter there or the bouncer, and if you go up and you're acting all dismissive, submissive, bad eye contact, you're not very loud, and you kind of question him like, hey, can I get in, man? Is it cool if I can get in? He's going to assume that you're not comfortable going to places like this, and you normally don't get in. He probably won't even acknowledge you. It's the same thing with the woman. If you go up and you're acting all nervous and shy and thinking, oh, hey, she's really hot, so you go up and say, oh, you're really cute, I'm really nervous, that's probably not going to go very well. At first she might say, oh, that's cute, but she's not going to obviously sleep with you at the end of the night. She's probably just going to walk away after a little bit being nice. It's not going to create any sort of sexual tension or any of that. So as you get more comfortable conveying that confidence, at first through outer game techniques and then through the inner game, the results are just going to amp up and go crazy. What you'll realize is so much of social dynamics is a self-fulfilling prophecy, where when you believe it, if you believe it strongly enough, it will happen. So and a lot of times it's how strongly you believe in it compared to how strongly they believe in it. So as you get in that positive feedback loop, the more you start amping it up and cultivating those awesome mindsets and believing in yourself more and more, you can really get to that point where they always say, the old days, just be yourself. Really, just be you and everything will work out. The girl will be attracted to that. My goal is to get you to that point. I'm not going to be changing your personality so much, trying to change who you are, but in certain ways, there's things that you're doing, no matter what your skill level, that are wrong, and also realizing how arbitrary your personality is, how something happened when you were young and some experience you had or some success or failure you had created this disparity in your self-esteem, and now what we're going to do is start raising you up and making you feel pretty sick and kick-ass. If you have any further questions about what creates attraction and the behavioral traits, we're going to get into the things very quickly about the sub-communication, like having the proper body language, good eye contact, being loud, and the other sort of outward ways that you convey yourself as the high status, attractive, high value, awesome guy. So don't be worrying about that too much. We're going to get into that very shortly. And now what I want to do is get into the timeline. So see you shortly.